Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So first category is wear, and the first part of this will come as no surprise because I have been in love with pastels this season, like I usually am pretty much every spring. If something's unusual though this season, it's that I have been wearing one particular sweater on repeat, and that is this one that I'm wearing right now. It's a boiled cashmere sweater from Nordstrom collection. I am so pleased with the quality of this. It does not have a single pill on it, despite my wearing it repeatedly and washing it twice already by hand, of course. So this week I do have a video coming for you on clothing care, so I won't talk about that in this video, but needless to say, this sweater has been amazing for me this season because it's very warm, but it's not a chunky knit. It's still quite lightweight. It has a density to it that I think is really great for this season to really keep that cold snap out and away from your skin. I'm just in love with the color. It's just that really gorgeous creamy pale sorbet lavender. So I've been wearing that on repeat, of course, with my Lavender Pearls collection. I've been really liking doing something pretty unified, so I'll throw in a little bit of blush or a little bit of gray. I am wearing my Dove Gray Pearls layered with the Lavender Pearls today. Other than that, I really just enjoy sticking to a lavender palette. It might be a little bit too matchy for some, but for me it just makes me really happy and really makes me feel like I am in spring. So that's one look that I've been really favoring, and the other look I've been really favoring is a little bit of a nod to the 90s when camel tones and cream tones were just really in and kind of worn very head to toe as well. But for me, what I've been really liking doing this spring, because I think it's just such a nice warm, comfortable, cozy color for spring, and it's something you can also pull really easily into fall if you mix in some darker colors. But something that I've found with my skin tone, which maybe can look a little bit washed out by kind of beige colors, is to mix it up a little bit with those tones. So I make sure that I don't kind of wear everything head to toe kind of cream or camel, but instead I mix different versions of those colors. So for example, my Bermuda sand scarf is a rosy neutral, so it's got a little bit of rosiness in the color, and then I'll wear that with a slightly darker camel colored sweater, throw on some black pants to kind of break that up. And then something that really works so well is to use one of your handbags that you would traditionally associate with like late spring and summer. I find I tend to pull out those bags much later in the season because they feel like really summery to me. They tend to be like lighter colors or bright colors. But if you pull those handbags right into your kind of winter wardrobe, it's a great way of pulling existing pieces that you own into spring, because that handbag will just immediately make you feel just refreshed. It'll be like a nice treat because you may not have worn it for a while, and it's just got a real ease to it as well, because I find for the summer a lot of us tend to use like an easy tote or something like that, or a little crossbody bag, something like that. I think it's really popular for summer, but there's no reason why you can't wear it now in spring. And for example, if you pair that with a pair of nice booties, I think that's a really nice look accessories wise that will pull you right through the spring season without having to actually buy anything new. It's just a combination that works really well. Next up, talking about handbags, is the want category. So if you follow me on Insta stories, you already know that this has been brewing at the back of my mind. I am seriously considering adding a Celine Nano to my collection. Those of you who own a Celine Nano or Micro have been highly recommending it to me. I have the luggage already in Souris. It's very well loved, and I'll do an updated handbag collection at some point, maybe after I get my next handbag. But I have been really lusting after this bag, and I think for me it's part of a new kind of mindset or shift in mindset where I just do not give a D anymore about what is in or out or new or extra luxurious. I just want to buy the handbags that make me really happy. And so I know for a lot of people the Celine Nano is kind of like an older bag that's been out for a while, and that whole robot face thing is kind of a little bit passe, but I do not care at all, because looking at that little robot face, which I do think is extra cute in the nano version, just makes me so happy. I've gone back to that photo that I took in the Celine store in Nordstrom so many times. So I tried on a gray one, I tried on a black and white one. I really like them both. Not sure where I'm gonna go with this. The one thing is, I don't tend to wear bags crossbody that much, so I probably would have to have the strap shortened. I think that's the one thing that stopped me from like getting it there and then. And also, as you guys know, I really like to think about my luxury purchases for quite a while. So just kind of thinking about the Celine Nano, letting it brew at the back of my mind, saving up for it, probably for the next couple months, is something I've been really enjoying, and it comes in so many cool color combinations. I have to say, I think it does look especially nice with more than one color, so the bicolor or tricolor options, because I think you get to see those robot features even more that way, and I really like that. I'm all for that little robot face. I think some people, it's kind of annoying, like once you see it you can't unsee it, but for me, like, that makes that whole line for Celine. I think it's something really different. I love cutesy things like that, so I guess maybe 2017 was the year of the dinosaur. I was really into that Coach Dinosaur Rexy collection. I still am, but I think 2018 might be the year of the robot. Just saying. You guys may know, while I make orders, I do watch a lot of television, so I'm always looking for something good to watch. For movies, I actually was very pleasantly surprised by the movie with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley called Begin Again. It's kind of like an indie rom-com type movie. It's been recently added to Netflix, and it really is a love story to music in New York, and Keira Knightley is pretty much the only singer in the movie, and her voice really surprised me. It's very different sounding than I would have expected. It's very kind of 60s and just really lovely to listen to. So I really enjoyed that movie. I wouldn't say that the plot is groundbreaking in any way, shape, or form. It's just a nice watch. For series, there is a new series with Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars called Life Sentence, and it's kind of a little bit of a different plot. Essentially, she is a cancer survivor, so it's everything that kind of happens unexpectedly as a result of that. It's definitely got a little bit of like, almost like a Gilmore Girls type of vibe, just in terms of the humor. It's kind of hard to tell where it's gonna go. I've only watched the first episode, but it's definitely like kind of highly anticipated, so I hope it'll stay good, and I'm definitely gonna keep watching it. And then also on the agenda for Joe and I, at the end of April, I believe, Westworld is coming back, and we were really into that series when we were still kind of like in the early stages of dating, so it's a little bit nostalgic almost for us. And if you haven't gotten it yet, there's a definite robot theme to this video. If you haven't watched Westworld, that is what it's about. They're like human looking robots, and it is very kind of challenging. I feel like watching it over, I'm going to notice a lot more things than I did the first time around. You definitely have to pay attention, but it's really well written. Some of the acting in it is fantastic. Evan Rachel Wood is amazing in it. Anthony Hopkins was in the first series. I don't know if he's going to be back for the second series, but it's definitely got a lot of twists and turns that I don't want to give away. So definitely give it a try if you're into Game of Thrones, or if you watched Altered Carbon. I actually think Westworld is way better than Altered Carbon was. I actually found Altered Carbon kind of confusing and just not that well written, but it's got amazing action scenes. So if you or your partner is into that, you may really enjoy that series. So there, we have a little fluffy BB visit. For read, oh my gosh, you guys, this book is so overhyped. I feel bad to have it on this list because I'm sure you've heard about it already. It was featured by the New York Times, but The Woman in the Window, if you are just looking for a quick thriller, maybe to get you back into reading, or just to read like a few pages at night and you'll kind of want to keep reading it because it's a page turner. The Woman in the Window is really easy to read. It was full of twists and turns. There are several. That is all I will say. It's about a woman who has agoraphobia and witnesses crime. And that's really all I'm going to say, other than that, if you've watched Rear Window by Hitchcock or other really popular Hitchcock movies, the book pulls a lot of inspiration from those movies. And I want to say that at times, all of those references to Hitchcock and other older movies is a little bit overdone, I think. I think it would have been an even more masterful thriller if it was a little bit more subtle in its references. That really is just a literary critique, though. It didn't really affect my enjoyment of the plot. I just found that it could have been a little bit more subtle sometimes, but I still really enjoyed it. I do think it's a well-deserved hyped book because there hasn't been a ton of really good thrillers where the twists really surprised me, and I guessed one of the twists but not the others. I guessed the final twist, so if you read it you'll understand. Baby, don't bite the tripod. No. Okay, well maybe you need a little sip of this to help you out. Okay, we'll talk about booze first because this is my new addition. So yeah, for those of you who are over 19 in Canada and living in Canada as well, you know booze is really expensive here. Booze and cheese are very heavily taxed. So finding a really good after dinner drink that is lower priced than you might expect when you're drinking it is very exciting. I do really like a good cognac. I usually go for a good aged Courvoisier or Rémy Martin. Those are like the two big cognac houses that are very prevalent. You open any restaurant menu for after dinner drinks, they're always there. I had never heard of this one, but it had won an award and been recommended with one of those little tags at the liquor store we go to. So it's called Gautier Cognac. It is a French cognac, of course, and it's VSOP. And I have to say, it's very good. It's very full-bodied and fruity and very smooth. And so I wouldn't say that it's complex, but it's very easy to drink, and it just has that kind of expensive smoothness to it. Don't have much of a palate for like a peaty scotch or anything like that. That's more Joe's thing. So now we kind of have his and hers after dinner drinks. He's always more on the scotch side, and I like a really good cognac, and I finally found one that is about half the price of the usual like $100 and something price point of a good cognac that I used to buy. So yeah, what award did it win? IWSC Gold 2015 for Outstanding Wine and Spirits. It's an international competition. I'm literally just like reading the seal to you. I thought I would add this category. I hope you guys are okay with it. I definitely see like some recommendations for rosés and white wines as the weather gets warmer in our future. So that's our new drinking section. Talking about food. Okay, so if you haven't made my English muffins yet, that is your like substantial meal recommendation. I will link the Food Wishes recipe down below along with my tweaks to it. You need to make them. They're amazing. I am still eating those for breakfast. Of course, this is Easter season, so I have to mention chocolate in this video. Every year growing up, my mom would always get me one of those really big Lindt chocolate, dark chocolate bunnies. And it was really exciting for me because there were really very few brands that would do like dark chocolate anything for the holidays. Like Christmas or Easter chocolate was always milk chocolate, but Lindt was one of the few brands that would do like a dark chocolate bunny. And my mom would always laugh because I would pretty much eat the ears and then the head of that giant bunny. By the time I got to the body, I would just lose interest. I don't have that much of a sweet tooth, and so the body of the bunny would always have to go into baking or something like that. Q 2018, and these little tiny gold bunnies came out, and they are so cute. Okay, so let's talk. These come in milk chocolate. These ones are for Joe. I'm not going to eat them. I hate milk chocolate. But I love these 60% bunnies because they are a little bit on the sweeter side for dark chocolate, but they're still really good quality chocolate. And they're so cute. So let's just talk about how cute they are. Look at his little head and the little bow. So adorable. If you have kids and you wanted to do like a little hunt for them or something, I think these would be great. But if you're a grown up and you've had a hard week, let me just tell you, biting off that little head, first the ears then the head, is actual therapy. Okay, so you feel bad, you feel tired, you might have a little aggression going on from like too much going on at work. Biting off that little bunny's head, it's just so good. A little dose of chocolate in like the perfect portion. So I don't count calories, but I did take a look at the back. One bunny is 50 calories, so that is just like nothing. I think they taste better than the big ones. So if you also want like a little bit more of a cool treat, put them in the fridge, and then you get them like extra crunchy, then bite that little head off. Day made. Okay, so that is eating and drinking, and no, I did not have any of that cognac before filming that bunny segment. Human beings make mistakes. Human error is very prevalent in all professional fields. It's really an opportunity to differentiate yourself in so many ways. One way, of course, is proofreading and ensuring that you avoid human error whenever possible. Once you proceed with your career, though, no matter what, every human makes errors at some point. So how you deal with your own errors and others' errors is really going to differentiate you for the long term. How you deal with your own errors, always try and fix them, own up to them, and learn from them. But how you deal with others' errors is really what I want to talk about. So I find that in this day and age, we are always looking for other people's mistakes, and it can be very tempting to try and in some way benefit from that, make yourself look really good by pointing out someone else's mistake, or as my boss puts it, throw them under the bus. And it's so interesting to me because I think oftentimes what really will benefit you for the long term and earn the respect of your colleagues is if you really don't do that. Of course, if something's going to be a learning point or a professional responsibility mistake, you should always disclose it and, report it to your superiors. However, I'm talking more about those human error mistakes, like little mistakes, scheduling mistakes, things that you haven't noticed, things like that, that are more minor. Really try and think about how best to handle that, because it can really affect your relationships with your colleagues. It really says a lot about your character if you're able to look past it, and it's not always easy. Another thing I want to say is you shouldn't always assume right away that someone else has made a mistake. I think again we can be so critical that we see mistakes everywhere, and we're just so gleeful and ready to throw other people under the bus and just assume that they made a mistake right away, and that's often not the case. You always should find out what that person's intentions are. It's a really minor example, but I get emails and messages every day letting me know that on my site for my pendant earrings, I'm wearing the style pearl berry earrings today, but the little smaller ones that are just one pearl that dangles, they're called the pendant earrings, but they're not named after pendant necklaces where you have one piece of jewelry hanging off of a chain. They're actually named after the action of being pendants, so essentially how they flow and move with the wind and move with your movements. That is what they're named after, so they are not misspelled. But a lot of people send me comments or emails, some of which can be very harsh. So they call me stupid or ignorant, or like I can't speak English properly because it is my second language, just because it's spelled a little bit differently than how they've often seen it in the necklace context. To just give you an example, I don't like talking about office examples because I think that's very unprofessional. It's just an example of how we're always so ready to find mistakes and point them out, but A, they're not always correct, and B, oftentimes if you downplay that and just build on that relationship, point it out, use it as a learning tool to the extent necessary, but otherwise don't throw your colleagues under the bus. Don't make them feel more ignorant than you need to, because ultimately what really matters is your relationships with each other and the overall work that you do, and not the little human error mistakes that happen along the way. I really enjoyed sharing my favorites with you this season. If you have any favorites, then leave them down below. You're my favorite too. Yes. Even though you want to bite me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next installment on style. Bye!